They found him face down.
A quiet night in rural Oklahoma.
There was nothing that looked suspicious at that point.
A 60-year-old man home alone.
Our theory is that he was inside his travel trailer and the dogs got to barking and he came out to investigate.
And some unknown and unimaginable nightmare that unfolded.
The ME raised his shirt up and at that point found a bullet hole almost in the center of his chest.
Tonight, the murder mystery gripping investigators.
We don't know much about him.
Was he in the wrong place at the wrong time?
It's a real remote area.
Or was it a deliberate attack?
One of the dogs had been shot.
You're watching Oklahoma's News 4 at 10.
Well, it was a brief fling with spring, but Old Man Winter not ready to give up just yet. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jolene Chaney.
And I'm Eli Roberts, in tonight for Kevin Ogle. It is quiet out there right now, but things are going to get really dicey for your morning drive. And Mike and the Forewarned Storm team is working overtime and maybe sweating a little bit to track it all, Mike.
Well, our storm trackers are out tonight. We have some fog that is gradually thickening up outside. We're going to talk about your morning drive, and the Arctic air is in place. Temperatures in most of the metro are still below freezing. Let's check it out here for you. Now, Mark Dillard's out here on the Kilpatrick Turnpike. As you can see here, there is some fog. Some of this is very light freezing fog. It is starting to thicken up outside gradually across much of northern and central Oklahoma. That's the first factor. Let me show you what's going to go into play later tonight and also for your morning drive. You can see from our time lapse here from 50 Penn, the fog also coming in waves and starting to thicken up as well in much of northwestern Oklahoma City. Now, temperatures are critical. They're slowly climbing. They've risen about 1 degree since the 6 o'clock newscast, but we're still below freezing. 28 on the western sides of town, 32 on the eastern sides of the metro. So this Arctic air overnight really isn't going to go anywhere. And the moisture is now starting to push in. You can see it right here from the west. New Mexico now streaking toward the Texas Panhandle. That moves into Oklahoma during the overnight hours tonight and tomorrow. Because of all that, travelers advisory, winter weather advisory continues in effect all of northern Oklahoma, all of central Oklahoma, and that includes the entire Oklahoma City metro area. The very latest here, about 1 o'clock in the morning, I expect freezing drizzle to start. Temperatures will be near and below freezing. So freezing drizzle and freezing rain light for your morning drive. The central and west metro really focusing on those sides of the metro for your morning drive, bridges and overpasses. I'll break this down, a close look on that forewarned forecast coming up.
Thank you, Mike. A 60-year-old man found dead on his front porch in rural Pottawatomie County. At first, officials thought he died of natural causes. What they found next, though, has now launched a murder investigation with no suspects and no motive. News 4's Cassandra Sweetman has the story. And Cassandra, a dog was also found dead as well.
Both the victim and the dog were found shot dead on the property. Now, deputies don't have a lot to go on right now, but they did find out that the victim was a registered sex offender in another county. They're trying to determine whether that had anything to do with his murder.
We don't know much about him.
Deputies were called to a cryptic scene Sunday evening after 6-year-old Harry Venisdale Jr. was found face down in front of the mobile home he was staying in.
There was nothing that looked suspicious at that point.
But when the medical examiner turned his body over, they discovered a bullet hole going through the center of his chest. He was also shot in the arm.
He was shot twice. One of the dogs that was at the property, which there was approximately 10 to 12 dogs there, one of the dogs had been shot. And then we found another bullet had actually hit the back of the main house.
Deputies say Venisdale was likely shot on another part of the property and was trying to get back inside his trailer when he collapsed.
We think he had walked around the house to see why the dogs was barking. Or if somebody was shooting, he went around the corner to investigate.
Nothing is missing from his residence or the other house on the property. Now deputies are trying to figure out if he was in the wrong place at the wrong time or if he was targeted.
We do know that he's a registered sex offender.
In 2007, Venisdale was convicted of lewd or indecent proposals or acts to a child in Woods County, up in northwest Oklahoma near the Kansas border. Deputies say he was registered in Pottawatomie County for about 2 years.
There were some talk that there were some people in that area that was not happy that he was in that area because of him being a sex offender. So that's one avenue that we're going to have to take.
But the undersheriff says they just can't say yet why he was killed. Now, deputies are still interviewing neighbors and other people who lived nearby. Reporting in Pottawatomie County, Cassandra Sweetman, Oklahoma's News 4.
What a disturbing story. Cassandra, thank you for that. An autopsy report released in the death of a convicted child killer. Anthony Palma was serving a life sentence for the disappearance of Kirsten Hatfield. The 8-year-old vanished from her Midwest City home back in 1997. Her body never found. Years later, in 2015, DNA evidence linked Palma to the case. He lived just 2 doors away from the Hatfield family. Palma has been locked up since 2017, where he remained until his sudden death last month. Prison guards describing blood all over the floor, along with an electrical cord and the body of Anthony Palma covered with a blanket. The medical examiner confirming today that he was strangled to death. The report notes that he also died from blunt force trauma to the head. Palma's cellmate, Raymond Piado, is believed to be responsible for all of this.
2 teens and one bizarre encounter. They say a man hurled a racial slur at them, and that alleged man, a deacon at a church in the village. News 4's Siobhan Bryan talked to one of the boys involved, and Siobhan, he says this confrontation didn't stop there.
A group of boys skateboarding ended with a call to police, and now parties on both sides say the other is at fault.
He said, you mother effers better leave right now.
But that was just the beginning of an encounter with a 75-year-old stranger that Daniel Cox says went from bad to worse.
He showed us his gun so we could back off. It was a Glock.
Cox says he and his friends were skateboarding in this office park when the property owner told them to leave.
He called us the N-word.
He says he was scared because after they made it back to their neighborhood, the man drove up speaking to them repeatedly.
And the 3rd time he pulled up to us, I thought he was going to shoot us for some reason, even though we were leaving.
As a mother to a son that is black.
The family filed a police report, shaken about the experience. News 4 won't identify the man because he won't face charges, but he's a deacon at a church in the village. Cox Himes spoke with the church's pastor.
Of course, he said, I've known this man for 25 years, and that seems out of character.
I've been getting angrier and angrier every day, just dwelling on it, not knowing that they're not going to do anything.
We spoke with the man accused of using the racial slur and brandishing that weapon. He's a military veteran and a retired federal agent and says his gun was on the passenger seat, but that, quote, the oldest of the boys saw the gun laying on my jacket in my car. I never touched it. I never pointed it at anybody. Going on to say, quote, I didn't accomplish what I have in my life by going around being racist or pointing guns at people. For someone to do this to me is criminal, end quote. Meanwhile, the family is wanting him to be held accountable.
Where are you safe? Doesn't matter where you are, and it's disgusting. It's disgusting.
Cox Himes says her family is at a standstill with police because the other parents involved don't plan to file a police report. Meanwhile, the man at the center of this also spoke to police, and he says the story the boys are telling isn't quite true.
Siobhan Bryan for us. Thank you for that. A wild police chase winds through city streets. You saw it play out live right here on News 4. It started in a hotel parking lot off I-40 and MacArthur. The white GMC Yukon reported stolen, and 9 minutes later, it came to a crashing end near Southwest 51st and Western. 2 cars caught in the crossfire, but it still wasn't over. Air Comfort Solutions Chopper 4 hovering above as the driver jumped out of the SUV and then made a run for it. He hopped fences, even fended off 2 dogs, dodging a number of obstacles, all in his determination to get away. Police finally were able to take him into custody after he laid down and surrendered. Here's his mugshot. His name is Juan Enriquez, and 2 women with him in that car were also arrested. As for those cars Enriquez crashed into, we know that 1 person was taken to the hospital, but police haven't said just how badly that person was hurt.
A Deer Creek teacher busted in an undercover sting trying to have sex with a 17-year-old has pleaded guilty. Our In Your Corner team has been following Jeremy Gregston for years. The state attorney general says the former computer teacher and assistant boys basketball coach was using a computer to solicit sex from a teen girl. Our In Your Corner team first featured Gregston about 4 years ago. At the time, he was running a painting company, but one of his customers says she was left with a horrible paint job that she did not want to pay for. Gregston took her to court.
Ego. What an ego you have to think you are that good and you haven't even checked on these walls. You have not even seen what the walls look like, and yet you're going to sue me?
Gregston was hired as an emergency certified teacher for Deer Creek. a year and a half ago. He passed the district's background check, even though she has a protective order filed against him in 2010. The district only checks for violent criminal charges and convictions, not VPOs. Gregson will be sentenced next month. We'll keep you updated on what happens.
Fire crews are still unable to pinpoint what sparked a fire that gutted 2 historic buildings over the weekend. The massive inferno estimated to have caused about $3 million worth of damage in downtown Guthrie. Both buildings more than 100 years old.
A little Oklahoma girl made medical history in this state by becoming the first robotic kidney transplant recipient. She was literally saved by a robot.
Why are you getting a kidney transplant?
Because I'm going to Disneyland.
If only life were as innocent as it is through the eyes of a child.
I named my kidney Rocket Blaster. I just thought of it.
Lainey was born with a rare genetic disorder, and it's got a name too.
Membrane MPGN, or membranoproliferative glomerulonephritis. So it's a type 1. There are different types.
The symptoms just as unusual as the name. Lainey wasn't acting like herself, so her mom took her to the doctor for blood work.
They had called and they said, you need to get to Children's like now. And I said, oh, I'm gonna go get some clothes. And they said, no, you need to get there now.
After a few blood transfusions, they learned Lainey was in stage 1 renal failure and was on a transplant list for about a year, until Lainey underwent Oklahoma's first robotically assisted kidney transplant, and it saved her life. No more dialysis. She named that too.
Womp womp.
She unfortunately had this disorder that she was born with, along with renal failure, for which she was on peritoneal dialysis, which means she was connected to a machine. She called it womp womp, because that was the sound the machine made, womp womp. So when we told her she'll get a kidney, and she said, now will womp womp go away?
Lainey's surgery, similar to this one, went perfectly. The robot controlled from a distance, dissecting, dividing, tying, stapling, and removing the kidney from the adult donor and placing it inside Lainey.
We had a big kidney in a little small 15-kilogram child, which we had to find place for, and without snag, it just fit just right. We found a place to put it. As you know, we don't take out the old diseased kidneys. We have to find new place for it. So the extra kidney was placed on the right side, and right from the time it went in, it was like a match. From the start.
Without it, Lainey may not have beaten the odds. Doctors say they lose a lot of Oklahoma children who are waiting for an organ transplant.
It's crazy, it's history, you know?
Now, there's no more
Womp
womp. She was happy to get rid of womp womp, and now she has got this kidney, and we asked her, so what are you going to call this kidney? And she said, Rocket Blaster.
He blasts the stuff out of me. Well, I didn't even feel anything when they cut me open. They put the kidney in.
That Disneyland trip is now a go. Lainey wants to meet Minnie Mouse. The Make-A-Wish Foundation is gonna see to that. But it's not the first celebrity she's met. Garth Brooks there, in case you didn't recognize him. Many special moments in little Lainey's life. But today, Discharge Day, may be one of the most memorable.
It's my dad's birthday today. And my dad doesn't like cake.
What a gift life truly is.
I got one more thing. I got a little of these.
She was proud of that little thing. 4 years old, that was at Children's where that took place. Lainey's now home with her family and making a great recovery.
Now, forewarned weather with Mike Morgan.
Well, let's get you updated on the very latest as far as Oklahoma weather is concerned for tonight, for your morning drive throughout the day, and also for a system coming up this weekend as well. Our storm trackers are out tonight. They'll be out in the morning also. So far, so good. There is some fog that is starting to thicken up outside, and the temperatures in most of the metro are below 32 degrees. Tomorrow morning, there is going to be some ice on the elevated surfaces. I'll break that down here for you. Here's Mark Dillard, Kilpatrick Turnpike here, and some fog. It's a little more dense in portions of the metro, a little bit less dense in others. It is gradually thickening up as some moisture now arrives, and temperatures right now in, North Oklahoma City running 30 degrees, 2 degrees below freezing. Okay, so let's check it out. Here's our time lapse from downtown Oklahoma City. This is up in the clouds at 600 feet from the second tallest building in downtown Oklahoma City. Here at K4, we're 31 degrees, so we've come up 2 degrees since the 6 o'clock news. That's good. A north wind at 9 miles per hour. Harris 30, Mid-Del's 30, Morse 32, Norman's 32, Newcastle's 30, 32 in Chickasha, 28 to 30 in Canadian and Kingfisher counties. Enid's 26, Alva's 23, and Woodward is 25. So the freezing temperatures are right here on the eastern sides of the Oklahoma City metro area, and our temperatures won't drop any tonight. They'll hold steady about where they are currently, and our wind chill factor outside is 23. Waves of cold weather in the forecast. Another surge of Arctic weather arrives tomorrow morning with strong north winds and a huge reservoir of Arctic air to our north. The next surge of very cold temperatures arrives on Saturday morning early of this coming weekend. So the first Arctic front is stalled down around McAllister and Ardmore. We have low gray cloud cover and thickening fog. Now here comes the moisture. You can see it in New Mexico. This will be streaking across Oklahoma. This has an El Nino connection with that moisture extending all the way down into the tropical Pacific Ocean. So this is where the freezing drizzle will be coming from, and a bit of very, very light freezing rain. I think it starts about 1 o'clock in the morning here in Oklahoma City. It'll be freezing drizzle and occasionally some very light freezing rain for your morning drive. I would especially be kind of cued in here to the central and west OKC Metro. So generally from about the Broadway extension down I-35 westward through all of West Oklahoma City out into Kingfisher and Canadian County and northern Grady County. And it's going to be bridges, overpasses, sidewalks, and elevated surfaces. With all that in mind, there is a winter weather advisory, a traveler's advisory in effect. Parts of southwestern, all of central, all of northern, and all of the Oklahoma City metro area. And this is going to be for the rest of tonight, for tomorrow morning, right on through late tomorrow afternoon. Here's the ice. You see it right here, develops. This is the freezing drizzle. It won't be heavy freezing rain, but just a slow accumulation of freezing drizzle and maybe a couple of light freezing rain showers. 29 in the morning, about where we are right now, 27 by tomorrow afternoon. So in other words, temperatures drop as this next surge of Arctic weather moves in. North winds pick up and wind chills will drop. So bundle up those kids at the bus stop in the morning. So the heaviest accumulation of ice, these are fairly light amounts, but it's going to be where temperatures are hovering 28 to 30 degrees. Again, queuing in here on the western half of the Oklahoma City metro, out I-40 and northbound on I-35 here. These are the heavier ice accumulations for late tonight and throughout the day tomorrow. So with all that in mind, ground temperatures are fairly warm, about 40 degrees. So roads may be spotty, icy at worst, especially, again, the west metro, so we'll call that moderate. Elevated surfaces, bridges and overpasses, different story. It takes on the air temperature, which is right now averaging 28 to 31 degrees, so we'll go a high to extreme impact on that. So variable travel conditions for your morning drive. Wind chills will be a real factor, hovering in the low teens and high single digits throughout the day tomorrow. And we'll see how closures go, but if this wave of freezing drizzle does come in, there will be plenty of slick areas in the morning. 29 degrees on average for the metro here. Your metro temperature is not a problem in Shawnee tonight because you'll be 32. Norman hovering about 31, so probably not a problem in Norman. But then you see the overnight lows drop on off 30, 29, 28 degrees. And this is where I have it painted red for the overnight hours tonight. Here comes that second surge of Arctic weather. Late tonight pushing into northern Oklahoma. You folks will have ice in northern Oklahoma as well. At noon, temperatures drift off a degree or two. Still some freezing drizzle. This is the noon time Oklahoma forecast for tomorrow, 29. And then by afternoon, about 4 o'clock, 27, with freezing drizzle, a couple of light freezing rain showers beginning to taper off. But yes, temperatures are dropping by that time as well, 26 to 29 in the metro. And there's your Oklahoma 4 p.m. forecast, lots of 20s. And then as we head toward Saturday and Sunday, we're going to see some ice develop on Saturday. It looks like it goes over to snow on Sunday, along with bitter cold temperatures here as well. And you see the snowfall totals there as we head through Sunday of this coming weekend. 29 in the morning, watch the bridges and overpasses. 27 by afternoon, increasing north winds, traveler's advisory. 38 for Thursday, partly cloudy. 45 Friday, next Arctic surge for the weekend. 32 Saturday, 22 Sunday, 23 Monday, lows down in the teens with ice changing to snow, and that is your 7-day +4 tonight.
You're watching Oklahoma's News 4 at 10 with Jolene Cheney, Kevin Ogle, Mike Morgan, Brian Brinkley, and Scott Hines in your corner. Oklahoma's News 4, looking out for you.